Hello, this is Ann Hayner with Leahy again. Today we're going to continue in our synergy explorations, and we're going to look at the lowly account card and see what we can do to make it easy to use, and perhaps especially easy to use for new synergy users. So we're going to talk about the account card and editing it. So I'm starting in my usual workspace, and I'm just going to click on accounts. That link takes me to the people that I'm responsible for in the system, and we'll just dash over to the Cozy Kitchen, which is a prospective customer that we've been working with for a while. So you can see my account card here. It may or may not look like what you see when you look at Synergy, and that's kind of the whole point of what we're doing today. So what we're going to do is use the wrench in the upper right hand corner. And you'll notice some radio buttons at the top for the person or the corporation. Because I'm an administrator, I have access to the corporate radio button. Everyone can change the card for themselves. If people change the card and get themselves really confused, one of the important things to know is that they can use the reset button, which sets them back to the corporate card. So if one of your users gets kind of wild and crazy and manages to make things disappear and can't deal with it easily, then they can always use the reset button. When you make any changes, you need to save them so that they are saved just for you. So we'll just save them for me today. We'll just do things for me. Notice that you've got buttons across the top that you can change, and links that you can turn on and off if you don't want them, and you can turn entire sections off. So each one of these areas that's boxed in is a section on the card. So if I want the links for the map and the addresses to show, then I have to turn on that entire box. Turning just the sub buttons underneath here doesn't help if I don't have those turned on. So that's one thing to pay attention to. The next thing is that you can see that you can easily change a lot here. You can turn many different fields on and off, and you can move entire sections if you want, if they're not as important to you. So let's do a couple of things here. One, we've disabled lots of things here, so I'm going to turn off the contracts view. We'll turn off projects and transactions because we don't use those, and we don't have reports set up right now. So we've turned off some things within the monitor itself, and we're going to change the monitor therefore to just be 2 columns because we don't really need 3 or 4 columns with only a few options. So we're going to do that, and then what we're going to do is we're going to change the number of contacts that I can see down to 2. Again, some people like to see a lot, some people like to see a few, so each individual can change that. And we're going to attempt to move the contacts to another area of the screen. So we're going to grab the whole bar and we're going to slide it over here and move it up, and it is a little bit tricky to move sometimes. So you have to hold your mouth just right and come on, slide up. And then you have to find a spot to drop it in. And it didn't work, and that's typical, and I have trouble with this. But anyway, we'll just leave it where it is for now, and we'll save the changes that we made. And then we'll close the customization area. So what we have now is only 2 contacts showing, and notice that we have 2 columns here in our dashboard area. So those are some very quick changes. Now I want to show you a card that is highly streamlined and might be an example for a new person that you're working with. So I'm going to delegate as a person that reports to me. This is one of the very nice features of this system, is to be able to delegate as others, again, if you have the right to do so, and as an administrator I do. And we're now going to go look at George's view. You might notice that George is a familiar character. George works for me in the sales department here at the coffee company that we're in, and George has a completely different looking card that I really streamline. All he sees is requests, a couple of items here. He has external references so he can go look at the Facebook page, and then he has a couple of contacts that he sees here and the timeline. And he has nothing else. He has none of the marketing information. So let's scoot into the settings for George, and you'll see that the whole marketing section is turned off. The links are turned off at the top. The monitor only has a couple of items in it, and he can see relationships that show him who the manager is and things like that. But there's a lot that's turned off. And I think this is probably helpful if you've got someone new that you're working with in the company. So let's make a small change here for George. Let's turn his monitor to be a single column, and then we'll save it. And again, we're doing this as though we were George because we're delegating. So when we come back now, we've just got the three things in his dashboard area all lined up on the left because that's all that he needs to have. And if he wants other contacts to show here, he can do those. But he's got a very streamlined, clean card. One other mention, that as long as we're looking at the card here, notice here that I've linked to their Facebook page. So I'm going to click on that link, and I was logged in earlier to Facebook because you do have to log into Facebook, but it's taking me directly to the Facebook page for this particular restaurant, which is a real restaurant in a little town in Wisconsin. So that's their Facebook page, and I did that with these external references in this section. When you go in here and add something, it asks you what you're linking to. And if it's Facebook, if it's LinkedIn, you know, depends on what you're using, Skype, Twitter, it prefaces the link with the appropriate, I guess you'd say, prefix. So it puts in the facebook.com, and then all that we have to put in is Cozy Kitchen and the end of the link there. And that takes us right into their Twitter account, their, you know, to see their tweets or to see their Facebook entries or anything like that. So a quick look at editing account cards and cool things that you can do with them in order to better stay in touch with people and to onboard new members of your team rapidly so that you're not overwhelming them with large amounts of information. And that's all we were going to do today. Talk to you later. Bye.